rolling Kimuras. Nah, not really. So, team for BJJ, Maven and Send, working area. So, I'm here with my mate, Alex. Alex is going to help me demonstrate some back control, some back submissions from back control. Okay, so we've managed to find our way to the back. We've got our hooks in either side. We've got the seatbelt grip. We've got our points. So looking at the ref, he's winking at me. Now, let's. What do we do from here? Okay, so let's think about our first lines of attacks. Okay, we've already gone through getting the arm around the neck, locking the elbow, getting in the head for the rear naked choke. So, alternatively, what we can do is a little bit more controlled. When you get into this position, they already know what they're going to do in terms of defending that choking arm. The overarm is your choking arm. So, what we're looking for is, from this position, this arm is going to get controlled. Okay, he's going to not want this to get choked. So, what we're going to do is this arm, less important, you might be squeezing it, but it's less important. So we're going to use this arm on the collar. Now, if you're obviously doing gi, you've got this. If you're in the streets or something and they're wearing a coat, you're getting attacked and you manage to get the back. You can do this with any sort of item of clothing. So we're going to take this hand, open up the gi, and you're giving yourself a nice target for this arm to dive underneath and get into the collar with your thumb as deep in as you can. Okay, get as deep as you can. Now, that's ideally to go across, so your thumb is on the back of the label is ideal, but you're never really going to get that before he's defended. It doesn't matter if you just get from here and you get it quite loosely here, okay? Because you're not going to be able to get the choke with this, but look at what I'm doing with my hands, okay? He's going to be able to hold on to this arm and stop me from freely moving the hand from here to there. He's going to be able to stop that. However, if I'm shimmying my hands at the same time, so look at what I'm doing to the fabric on the gi. In. As you're shimmying, you're tightening it up and you're literally getting your thumb into this position, okay? So a lot of the time, if you just get this grip and it's quite loose, you're not going to be able to finish this choke. However, using this hand underneath, make sure they're nice together, and you just little bits, little movements do go a long way in Jiu-Jitsu. I get in nice and tight, and I feel I get as tight as I can against that throat, okay? Once I have this, ideally he's still going to be defending this, okay? But the choke is going to be started, is already in a good position. This hand then is going to go to the opposite collar. Now, I don't have to get that deep on this. I can go from there to here, if I could just get anything, because ultimately from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend my arms out, and that puts the choke on. The collar is choking this side of his arteries, of his neck, and my arm is choking this side, okay? So this is the cross collar choke. And squeeze, okay? And the important detail is that little shimmy of shimmy, feed it in, okay? So all I'm doing is I'm jumping to the next little inch, half an inch up with this hand, and I'm taking out the slack, taking out the slack, taking out the slack, just to tighten it up around that neck. And to be honest, no matter how sort of strong they are, that resistance is not it's not going to do that much good if you're using that shimmy tactic, okay? There has to be like an amazing difference in strength for that to be stopped, okay? It's a very nice little detail. So, we're in here, we've got the cross collar choke. Now, ultimately, if I get this here, this is a good grip to have, okay? Ultimately, if I get this grip and perhaps he's defending against this arm, getting that cross, going across and grabbing the collar, he might be he might be expecting this, okay? Somehow, if he's not letting me grab the other collar. I can't, if I go over, my hand is in the way, and he's sort of defending this well, okay? Don't feel that you have to let go of this choke. Ultimately, this choke is really nice, even if you just start squeezing in with just one arm, or do one arm choke. Put your head next to their head, start squeezing in, like it will put some pressure. And while you might not always get the tap, the pressure of it will mean that they'll have to react and they'll give you something. If I'm squeezing here, his hand will stop defending against this hand. It will come up to try and stop the choke, opens me up to grab that collar. Now, depending on where we are, so remember, when we're attacking off the back, we're never going to be sat up like this. This is just for demonstration purposes. We're mostly going to be in this position here. Okay, so that's a choke from here. But depending on where he is and what he gives me, I can get it from this position, I can get it from this position. But I might go for something a little bit more fancy. So what we'll do is, I've got this cross grip across. Now, if he starts to fall into the choking arm, if he starts going into this way, he might be trying to alleviate pressure from this arm by going in, maybe pulling my arm this way to alleviate the pressure, okay? Falling into this way. As he's falling into this way, I'm gonna let him. As he's going under, this leg, this hook, is gonna come out, okay? And it's gonna go under, and it's gonna go sort of behind his back. Now, it makes sense if I'm doing this from standing with the rolling. If he starts coming under, I roll, get that leg free. Underneath here, go onto this foot here, and I get into this position here, okay? So I've got one knee on his back, one leg in. So I've lost my hooks, but this is setting me up for a nice bow and arrow. So from here, I'm gonna reach back for, either you grab fabric on the nearest leg, or you can underhook the leg. You're gonna shrimp out, put your knee on his back, pulling the fabric, and that's your bow and arrow choke. Yeah, so we're in this position. Shut your legs out, Alex. Look like a fool. We're in this position. We've managed to get a good grip on the inside of the collar across his neck, okay? But maybe we don't feel confident going for this one, or going for the cross collar. Maybe he's just very good at this. Ultimately, he starts falling to one direction. He's going into the choking arm to alleviate the pressure. As I do this, one foot hook comes out, and as he rolls, I get onto the side, into here, my post on this foot. I sit back, grab some fabric on his trousers or underhook the leg, sit back into him. So I sit onto my hip, put my knee across his back, and what I'm doing is I'm pulling his leg, pulling his arm, my arm on his throat, and extending him, just like I was about to shoot a bow and arrow. Boom. Okay, so two very nasty setups from the back for some nice submissions, just so when any of you falling into certain positions, depending on what grips you have, these are two very good attacks if you happen to get that grip across the neck. Okay, that's it for this week. Have a good week. Soon we'll be back to rolling. Soon Alex is going back in the closet.